Rob, will you do the honors?
Certainly.
Almost every single year, I do something that's almost a tradition, and that is Mustang Week. Mustang Week is this overly obnoxious, crazy car meet from the outside, but the actual event is really calm, collected. Not much goes on. It's just this beautiful car show of all these things people have done to Mustangs. And as you can imagine, with so many owners over the decades and decades and decades of these cars, you see crazy engine swaps, crazy suspension setups, crazy wraps, paint jobs, what have you. And that's what keeps you coming back, because you're gonna be like, I wonder what that weird guy I met last year is gonna do. I met a guy who had an 80s Fox body, and he put a brand new Coyote in it and whole 9 yards, fully restored it. And what was interesting about it was that it was an SVO. So it was originally 4-cylinder. And he had a crazy dash system and everything. I was like, wow, this is worth coming to every year. This is back in like 2013, my first time all by myself. Well, that's before I knew of the night meets and everything else. So Mustang Week used to be at the mall off Kings Highway in Myrtle Beach. And it got too big for its own good, and it was too hot. It's this black top with no shade and in the middle of July. So it's just awful. I would come out with like the worst sunburn in the world. So I'd if I wore a tank top, it'd be all burnt here, and I got that terrible bro tan going. So they decided after years and years and years of having it in July, they moved it. So they moved it to September instead, which was a risky move, right? Yeah, it's like, no, you just change up tradition and people can't really take off work as much in the fall. So I'm like, you know what? It's probably not gonna be that great, but I'll go anyway. Sure, just for a day or two. Drive down there, 5-hour drive, get there, and I meet up with my friend Rob Raybon. Rob Raybon is a character who builds these amazing cars. He had the first ever basically airbagged Mustang, and that became this huge trend now. You know, it's the Instagram thing to do now. And he was an expert with Plastidip and Autoflex. So every year he would change his car from rainbow to more of a Mistachrome. Then he had like a fighter jet shark mouth on the side one year, and he all did this with Plastidip, and it looked like a wrap. So by meeting Rob, that was an amazing experience because you never knew what he was going to bring out next. Well, this year, he just threw everybody off and brought out his Fox body. He bought this Fox body that's made for drifting, and it's all cambered out. It looks like rust. He purposely put rust on the car to make it look ratted out. And after that, it just got more and more eccentric. So he has these crazy, air holes in the back for, diffusion, and it's not a single color anywhere. So he's a character, he's awesome, and I have my friend Leo, who also had his car sprayed by Rob. It's a crazy rainbow color. On my channel, we call it the Offensive Mustang, because Rob Ferretti from Super Speeder said, that car is so hideous it offends me. So that's why we called it that. So this year, new location too. Remember we were talking about the mall? Well, now we're at the convention center in Myrtle Beach. What could possibly go wrong? Got the convention center, nice, calm, collected, and it's big open spaces. Then on the outside for spectators is this giant wide open parking lot. And it all clears out, there's no one around, and I realize, wow, I haven't filmed a single thing today. I should probably get on that. And that's what I do, that's what I'm there for. And I'm like, I kind of need, what's really good? What's the most important part of a video? Your intro. Your intro's, in my opinion, your most important part because it engages your audience. So I look at Rob, who's next to me in his Fox body, and I'm in my car, and I go, hey Rob, you want to do some shenanigans? He goes, okay. So I pull up my camera, I look at it, I go, hey, welcome to Mustang Week 2017, and I look over at Rob and I go, will you do the honors? And he goes, certainly. He goes up, does this gnarly donut. Like, it's perfect. Like, it's not just a donut where you're going full lock. It's a slide. Like, it's this perfect slide around, and Leo's laughing, I'm laughing, because I didn't expect it to be like that. I thought it was going to be some smoke and be done. Well, Rob pulls around and you hear me and Leo freaking out going, wow, that was amazing. I can't wait to show everybody this. Right when I say that in my brain, an undercover Mustang pulls him over in the parking lot. He was out there waiting for people to do something stupid. So it had like underglow police lights. And so nothing on top, nothing in the windshields or anything. So Rob thinks it's just somebody screwing with him, right? It's like, there's no way that's a cop car. It's a gray 2015 Mustang. It looks stock. She had no idea. Pulls him over, and there were some censor bleeps going on in my video because we were just like, no way. You know, we were absolutely in shock. Leo, who had been pulled over last Mustang week, says they always do this routine. They always tell you they're going to impound your car and everything else, which has happened, but it didn't happen to Leo. So Leo's like, it'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know, man. That was a serious donut. Like, that wasn't just a burnout. And Leo got fined last year, and to the point where somebody paid for his ticket because he loved his burnout so much. So that's the kind of community you see at Mustang Week. And so Rob, you can see him just like all stiff and just like, yes, sir, no, sir. Like, I won't do it again. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And lets him off scot-free with a ticket, but he was threatened with impound and jail time. So that is scot-free in my opinion. Pulls up and I go, Rob, you know, for doing that, do you want me to pay for your ticket? I will absolutely do that for that shot. Like, I will pay for that shot, you know? And he's like, no, man, it was worth it. It was a great time. It's fine. And he just wouldn't let it go. I kept telling him like all day, every day. I was like, oh, come on, let me do it. And he's like, no. So Rob was really cool about that. We had a really, really interesting time with that. And it just created this different vibe around the entire Mustang week the rest of the weekend, because you just don't know where they are anymore. Because used to at the mall, it was just like 8 cops in front of the mall. And people would just be like, you know what, I can pay for a ticket. And they would just do something anyway. And that was the kind of vibe of it. But it was also famous for, you know, people hitting people by accident, same location. So that's kind of toned down over the years. So what Rob did really wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't around people, and that's why the cop let him go.
If you like that story, it's time to make one of your own. Extreme Experience puts you in the driver's seat of some of the world's best supercars at over 20 racetracks coast to coast, with no speed limits, no shifting restrictions, and no governors. Head to the link to choose your supercar, find a racetrack near you, and start making a story of your own. Extreme Experience. It's your turn.